Alright guys, we're back. We have Alchemixt, and you guys probably didn't expect to see him, but I wanted to cover the match that we couldn't get the feed. I mean, I couldn't cast it. It was the match with Alchemixt versus ThatsAdmirable, and you won.
I did.
And he's really salty, and we try to get him on here, but oh, there he is. Well, we'll get him after you.
Okay.
So, how do the matches go? Let's try to give us like a play-by-play on the important stuff.
Okay, so the first match I was playing Warrior and he was playing Paladin, which normally I feel like is a pretty bad matchup for me.
Yeah.
And his hand, I found out after the game, his opening hand was like double Holy Light, Wild Pyromancer.
Okay.
And my hand was a little awkward for a while. I had all three weapons in my hand, and we both kind of did nothing for a long time, and then I eventually...
But that favors him with the dudes, doesn't it?
I had an Unstable Ghoul.
Okay.
So that kind of stopped like the first 3 or 4 turns of that.
Yeah.
And then I played a Ragnaros, which hit him, domed him in the face for 8, and then he killed that. And then I basically went all in on Deathbite charge with Gromish.
Okay.
And I had Faceless and Black Knight in my hand, so if he couldn't deal with it, then I basically win. If he puts up a taunt, I can Black Knight, and I saved my coin too, so I could Black Knight coin Faceless.
Okay.
But if he had a way to kill my Grom, like an Eldor Peacekeeper or something, I was probably in big trouble. But he ended up just putting up Unstable Ghoul and something else taunting, and I just Black Knight execute, and that was enough. Then he crushed me really hard with a Miracle Rogue. He had like Auctioneer, Prep, Sap, Coin, Conceal, and I just laid back. I just leaned back in my chair and waited for it to.
Yeah, I heard that Miracle Rogue deck is still doing pretty well.
That Miracle Rogue deck is really good, yeah. And then I played Zoo, and his hand was not good enough to win, so he had to use Cold Light Oracle, which just drew me into like Lothab, Soulfires, and my board was really nice, so then I just won that game.
Okay. So what did you think the salt peaked at? Where did the sodium levels reach critical level? Was it when he got Black Knighted executed?
Yeah, I think he, like, normally if you're a Paladin, you expect to win the Warrior matchup a lot of the time. So I don't know if it's necessarily that play, but just once you lose that matchup, you have to feel pretty bad. So.
Well, okay. I was expecting that to be more epic, but I'm sure he's gonna.
Yeah, he can probably tell you more than me.
Yeah, okay, good.
But, yeah.
All right, we'll talk to him in a second. That was good. Thank you. All right, and this is the loser of the match that we didn't see.
Thanks.
That's admirable.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. So I heard you didn't want to play an owl.
Well, so there's a lot of turns going into this board state, so I'll preface it with this.
Okay.
2 turns earlier, I played a Sunwalker.
Okay.
Sunwalker didn't get Black Knighted.
Okay.
And he was very clearly stressed for something to do, but I wasn't sure what, so I figured his hand was just...
Well, what happened to the Sunwalker?
Well, I'll go to that in a moment.
Okay.
But like when the Sunwalker doesn't immediately get Black Knighted, and he feels like he's struggling for something to do, the read is that he has a lot of big legendaries in his hand, as Warrior tends to play. So he uses a Deathbite to replace his current Deathbite to pop the shield in my 1/1 minions, and then shield slams the Sunwalker. So at this point, he's used a Fiery Oryx, 2 Deathbites, 2 shield slams, a Sludge Belcher, Acolyte, Cruel Taskmaster, an Armor Smith, and something else. So we go into a late game turn where I'm at 10 life, and he gets Gromish down and he puts me to 10 with Gromish. So my hand is Ironbeak Owl, Wild Pyromancer, Holy Light, which had been in my hand since opening hand. I draw the second copy of Truce Over Champion with a 1 charge on the board, Unstable Ghoul, and Defender of Argus. So my hand's just garbage, and I'm like, how am I supposed to win this game? And I'm like, if his hand is any big legendaries, the only way I can win is if he doesn't have removal for these guys that I'm about to taunt, and then I draw a quality and a quality away the second threat that he plays. So that was what I was thinking I had to do. And the other part about that is if his hand is really bad, like say it's like coin and then like an execute and like, I don't know, like another shield block or something, or like an Armor Smith or an Unstable Ghoul that he's been holding, all of these cards that I think are kind of realistic, the extra charge of the True Silver Champion is going to help me grind out the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So I put 2 taunts on the board with Defender of Argus and a token, And I have the option to either Holy Light myself, which I think is poor because my goal, again, is to draw a quality, so I can Wild Power a quality, Holy Light myself, clear the board and have a 3-1. And the 3-1's really important for me to actually be able to win the game from damage because he's at such a high life total. And the second one is, if his draw is really poor and he continues to draw like Acolyte of Pain and Armor Smith, these little guys, the extra charge of True Silver Champion is going to help buy me the time I need. So I choose not to attack with True Silver Champion. I choose not to Holy Light. Mind you, Sunwalker wasn't Black Knighted 2 turns earlier, so my read is that he doesn't have Sunwalker, or that he doesn't have Black Knight. So he Black Knights my Unstable Ghoul, executes the 2-1, and then pushes for the win after that.
Wasn't that exact lethal?
Yeah.
Don't you think you should have just went face with True Silver if you had another one?
I thought about that, but again, the whole goal is that it's like in one of the two scenarios I'm in, one way I either have to draw a quality or I lose the game, or the other one is hand has to be really poor and I have to grind it out, which means the extra charge
True Silver.
Yes, but I think the extra charge of True Silver Champion actually makes a difference. What I should have done instead is using the Unstable Ghoul as poor in this situation to taunt up, because I can use the Ironbeak Owl to taunt up. Like, if Ironbeak Owl was just a Murloc Raider, I should have used that instead of the Unstable Ghoul, because in the event that he has a removal spell and makes some sort of push, what happens is Unstable Ghoul can potentially buy me one more turn that I need. And that's really where the critical error is. A lot less about silencing or healing and a lot more about using the correct set of minions to get to that point. So it just kind of fell apart because my read was a little bit off. And it was a kind of an ugly opening hand with 2 Holy Lights in it.
You sound a little bit annoyed here.
I'm very annoyed, but it's more annoyed at like my misplays because I could have just approached my circumstances better instead of just like playing really poorly and then getting blown out because I played bad.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we heard the Rogue deck was successful.
Sort of.
Until Cold Light happened.
Yeah, so that deck is obviously made to kill control decks.
Yeah.
2 Cold Light Oracles and a Miracle deck. It's very all-in. It's very combo. You rely on your opponent not having a ton of early pressure. So against Zoo, it's like... I think Zoo's slightly favored against it, but Miracle can still win.
Yeah, it's mostly based around the Blade Flurries.
Yeah, so he kept 2 cards in his opening hand, and so this told me one of 2 things. Number 1, it's an Undertaker opener. Number 2, it's a Flame Whip opener. I don't think he's going to keep any other 1-drops. So I kept the Deadly Poison in my hand. Mulligan the other 3. Over the course of the game, I ended up picking 2 Sinister Strikes and 2 Cold Lights, and I have to actually Shadow Step my Cold Light so I can try to draw something to do.
Okay.
And he's just playing the like Nerubian Egg, Haunted Creeper, all these resilient minions that I can't sweep the board off of anyway, and it just snowballs from there and I lose.
Okay. Well, you thought you'd do better, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, I made a mistake right at the open too, because one of the worst combinations I think that Alchemixt would have played in this spot that was bad for me was Warrior Zoo. I think it's like one of the worst things that could have happened. So if I just... My philosophy on it was if I play Paladin, Paladin's safe. I'm going to have to beat the Warrior with Paladin anyway. If I beat the Zoo deck, so I can just leave with Paladin here. If it doesn't matter which one I play against, I'll go Rogue, and then the Rogue will have to beat the Zoo deck if I lost.
A lot of people were actually saying that Paladin's a very poor tournament class.
A lot of people have said that so far, but I think they're wrong. Anyways, kind of going back, if I lead with Rogue, though, and he leads with Zoo, I lose to the Zoo deck, and then I have Paladin to beat the Zoo deck, and I have to play Paladin versus Warrior anyway. So if I lead with Rogue, it gives me like a 50% chance to have an extremely large advantage in the matchup because the Rogue is going to beat the Warrior like close to like the 90% range.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I just lead with Rogue instead, it doesn't matter which one he leads with, I still have to beat both of his decks of Paladin. And in the circumstance that I'm providing, I basically have to beat both of his decks of Paladin because the Rogue won't beat the Zoo deck very often.
Okay. Yeah, but you can't really assume that kind of stuff. It just ended up that way.
I think it's a mistake to not lead with Rogue. I think it's a pretty large mistake.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, right now you got to play and beat Hype and Savages, or Saviz, to stay in it. How are the odds looking now? Do we have a revised version?
I think going into it, I was giving myself probably like a 70% chance to advance past group stage. Now it's probably about 25%.
25?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have any surprises left for the other dudes, you think?
I think I have... Hyped obviously is worrying me a little bit. I only saw his Rogue deck.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, he's only comfortable playing a couple decks anyway. It's like those are his bread and butter. So I'm just going to take my lineup and pick the 2 decks that or eliminate the 3 decks that I want to play the least versus what I think he's going to play and go with that because I think that gives me the best chance, which is why I think I have such a poor chance of advancing past group stage now.
Yeah.
And then with Saviz, I think I have a good idea of what he's doing, and I probably have an edge, slight edge.
All right. 100% chance to lose again. Oh, sorry,
100%.
bro.
Hey, I'll take that guy's bet if he wants. Can you facilitate that? Can you be
No, I
the
don't think so.
escrow here?
No. I do have some faith in you.
Thank you.
I think Hype.
Some.
Yeah, I think Hype dominated Saviz pretty hard with the Rogue, but I don't know. Like you've played Rogue, you probably have a little bit of insight to what's going on with that deck. You probably have some insight into how he's going to play it and all that. So I don't know. I think your chances are a bit better. Saviz, I mean, yeah, he's playing the typical stuff. He'd play what I would probably play.
Yeah.
Like just two control-y decks that do all right against aggro.
Do you
anyway.
expect 2 Paladins to be opened in this group stage, by the way?
I don't think it's that bad, but I'm a little bit out of touch with the matchups, especially in this kind of format that's not seen too much because, like, I kind of know what beats what. I'd expect people to play Handlock, and I think Palidas is all right against Handlock and all right in general.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's a fair choice, but I don't think you're like dominating much.
Yeah, that's where I was at as well. It's
Yeah.
just a good safe lead, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than people think it is, but not quite as good as the Paladin players like to think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Well, we'll see. That was fun. That was the game we missed, guys. Basically, he got a bit owned, and I just saw the Warcraft 3 end, so we're going to get into the next Hearthstone game between Forsten and Fishy Fairy, finally.
Looking forward to this one.
All right, well, we need to set up. We're going to get Masan on the seat, I believe, and we're going to take a look at that game when it happens here in a few minutes. I'll see you guys then.